Psalm 91. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him I will trust. Surely He shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. He shall cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you shall take refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day, nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor of the destruction that lays waste at noonday. 1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. Only with your eyes shall you look and see the reward of the wicked, because you have made the Lord, who is my refuge, even the Most High, your dwelling place. No evil shall befall you, nor shall any plague come near you, your dwelling. For He shall give His angels charge over you, to keep you in all your ways. In their hands they shall bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. You shall tread upon the lion and the cobra, the young lion and the serpent you shall trample underfoot. Because He has set His love upon me, therefore I will deliver him. I will set him on high, because he has known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life I will satisfy him and show him my salvation.
Hey guys, Don Jr. here, and you're watching His Glory.
And we want to welcome all of His Glory Nation from east to west to north to south. Welcome to today's Take 5. Wild, is there a lot going on in the world? We pray for the nation of Israel. We're going to get into this a little bit deeper and how this affects the financial markets, the Bible, everything that Bo and Andrew and I have been talking about for 2 years is all climaxing right now at the same time. And literally on God's calendar. Literally, you can't even make this up. All right, before we bring them on, Texas, the second tent revival for this year in Texas. Look at all the great speakers. I think we have 17 speakers at this event. So join us there that Friday night. It's going to be free. We're going to do sound checks. We'll have local bands play music. And then all day we have 8 hours of God, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, worshiping Him with music and just shofars, the whole 9 yards. And then we're going to play Capital Punishment that night. So join us in Mount Pleasant, Texas. With that said, Bo and Andrew, how great would it be when we go to these Reawaken for everybody in the audience to have a shofar to blow it?
Absolutely. It would be electric to see everybody do it at the same time.
Yep. So
yeah, we bought ours about 2 years ago with a Lion of Judah on it. The whole thing is just exciting because you have to, the story behind the shofars is incredible. How they, this one of the Bible stories that comes to mind. They march around and then they blow the shofar. The walls come tumbling down. Like it's incredible. It's all biblical. And that shofar is so powerful. And we're living in biblical times, so you definitely want to have a shofar.
Okay, so as Clay says, you have to have a shofar to go far.
So
we were talking last week. You came on, both of you guys came on last week, but something imminent that was I was told from Israel. You saw it on your charts, and kind of Bo, will you walk us through what happened? This is truly biblical. The date that all this hit.
Yeah, so all of it's really fantastic how all this is playing out because I want to start this and basically telling the world that. The viewers, everything we're witnessing, this is not political. It's biblical. Think about what happened with Daniel being thrown in the lion's den, right? That ended up being written in the Bible and ended up being a biblical event. when Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were thrown into the fire, at that moment in time, they didn't realize that this is all biblical stuff, right? So there's biblical things that are happening in our world that are critical key time points, and we just happen to be living in this. Think about, what happened to Jesus at the cross, right? At the time, it was horrible, only to find out 3 days later, it was the greatest victory in human history. So all of this stems and goes back to Israel. This is, why did this thing go off in Israel? I'll explain you the timing on it in a second, but also the point is for generations, okay, this has always been about the world wants Israel, period. Okay, so let's just go back not too far. Let's not go back to the time of Adam and Eve and just let's just not go back thousands of years. Let's literally go back 110-ish years. Okay, 1913. We had the War of 1913. That was the first conflict. Then, interestingly enough, and this has always been about the Arab states and Israel. This has just always been. Look what just happened again. It's the same thing. Okay. Same exact deal. So you have the Arab states, it was Arab-Israel conflict of 1913. That was one of the key ones here that we're looking at in terms of in our closer timeline. We have 35 years go by, and then we get to 1948. What happened in 48? Well, Israel proclaimed itself a state on that exact day. Trump was 700 days old. By coincidence, because there aren't any. And so now we're seeing why he's playing into all of this, okay? But at that point in time, within 24 hours, a war broke out, okay? Again, so all the Arab states, a bunch of them attacked Israel again because they proclaimed themselves a state. And then we have 19 years go by. Now, this is interesting because 19 years later, we get to the War of 1967. Now, God's telling us something on the War of 1967 because it was not just a random amount of days. It was precisely a biblical time point. It was 6 days. Remember, it was written, you will rest on the seventh. So it was on the sixth day, war came to an end. It was completion. And on the seventh day, there was a day of rest. So God's literally telling us that was a critical war for our world. And so the notes that I've got on this is, up until, even though Israel proclaimed itself a state in 1948, it's important to understand that the Arab world refused to recognize Israel's independence. This is important because it wasn't until the War of 67 where all the world recognized Israel as independent. So as much as Israel proclaimed itself a state and people use that as a starting point, it's truly not as important as the War of 67 because now all the Arab states recognize Israel's independence. So now that takes us forward 50 years. God said to me, use the Leviticus cycle. We go 50 years. That took us precisely to 2017. Interesting enough, on Rosh Hashanah, 2017, this is how we know we're in the end time. So because we literally had Revelation 12 sign manifest 50 years precisely from 1967. This is biblical, okay? 67 war, Leviticus cycle, 50 years, you have the Revelation 12 sign manifesting in the heavens. Now, this is back to the 6-day war. What also to say you will plow your fields for 6 years and rest on this, give your field a year of rest on the 7th. This is in Exodus. So 2017 Revelation 12 sign adds 6 years. This is awesome. Add 6 years, 2023. Now, which means that God, whatever is going on in the world, as horrible as it is, because no one likes war because what they're doing is horrible, okay? This is not good, okay? But on the other end of it, neither was a 6-day war, neither was a war of 1913, neither was a war of 1948. And again, this is always, the world wants to grab Israel. And so now it's interesting, 6 years to the mark is 2023. This marks the year of the Lord's favor, because how awesome is this? Next year is the year of rest. Psalms 24 talks specifically about blessings. There's 2 words in Psalm 24. Coincidentally, year 2024. There's 2 words in there, Pastor Dave and Andrew, that are awesome. Blessings and vindication. Those are the 2 words for the year 2024. 2024. So Roe v. Wade was overturned, coincidentally, 50 years ago, which is 2023 from 1973. Nixon, the reason we're speaking here specifically is how to prepare for it financially, if you can, because Nixon took us off the gold standard in 71, but in 73 was when the petrodollar contract was signed in the fall. Now, so we are at the 50-year jubilee mark. And Leviticus is very clear. Thou shalt consecrate the 50th year and proclaim liberty throughout the land. So as horrible to all this is, it's biblical. And by the end of this year, we're going to see liberty throughout the land. It's going to be horrific up front and spectacular on the back end. We just got to not so much watch the news and just pray and know that God's got this, because this is God's battle. This is a worldwide syndicate of these people that control, that are doing all this. Okay. Just like at the Red Sea, at some point, it's God's battle. The Red Sea was God's battle. At some point, it's God's battle. This is God's battle. So all you can do is pray. And the reason we are here is, prepare if you can financially. And there are those that don't have the ability. Don't worry about it. God's got you. He's going to provide blessings like you can't even imagine to all of those around you. And you will, those that don't have the means will be blessed beyond measure, because God's a multiplier. And so I hope that kind of gives you a big picture of time in these wars. But this literally was 50 years to the Yom Kippur War. That's why I put a message out to you last week. Pastor Dave, we should do an interview this week. Now, it was last week, because I felt in my heart that we're about to go to war, or something's about to happen, as October 6th came to an end. And boom, that night, the missiles flew. And by Saturday morning, your phone's going off, Pastor Dave.
Yep.
And this is the point about the conversation, too. The war breaks out in Israel. And Andrew, think about the joke in this, okay? Because we talked about this, I think. What a joke. When I say a joke about precious metal manipulation, that's the joke. If Israel went to war, and that's all did, right? Gold should Monday morning have been up $200-300. Silver should have been up $10, $20, okay? Silver was up 30 cents on the open, and gold was up $15 or $20, okay? People, you're watching the greatest show on earth. This is the money changers playing Monopoly. They're controlling the money supply. They're playing us. And when God intervenes, are you going to be blessed financially? Because it's going to do a moonshot like you can't even imagine. Again, a war breaks out with Israel, and silver's up 15 to 30 cents, and gold's up like $20. Andrew, talk about manipulation.
Oh, it's so heavily manipulated. It's other information that I'm getting that supports that idea is that in the last year, in the wake of the 3 bank failures that we had earlier this year, there have been $872 billion in cash taken out of United States banks. Like $872 billion has been taken out. I know a lot of it's going into real estate, and a lot of it's going into gold and silver. And I think that all of this is bracing for what we know is coming with the central bank digital currencies. And one more stat as part of this S&P report, $260 billion of the $872 billion come from the top 4 big banks. So those are Chase, Wells Fargo, Citi, and Bank of America. So people out there realize that all of the fiat currency in the world, not just the dollar, but all the other big currencies for globally, are going away. So we're moving to an electronic payment system, and the only way to own anything that is worth the paper it's printed on, so to speak, would be gold and silver. And if that's true, then as Bo had just said, gold and silver should have really skyrocketed by now. They're being suppressed. They're being held down, but they can't hold it down forever.
No. They're running out of time.
Absolutely. It's even for the people in Israel, with what's happening there, to them, while they're going through this uncertainty, they want to have metals. They don't want to have currency in an emergency. That's how we are here, and that's why the metals did run up a little bit. Gold was up almost $30 on Monday, and it'll probably keep running up after this.
I'll say this further too with regard to manipulation of precious metals. See, when a war breaks out, historically, again, I've been in precious metals for a long time. I think we can recall some military conflicts that went on, Andrew, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, right? And when you'd watch precious metals, you'd see gold do $100 easy when a war breaks out. $100 was a no-brainer when as soon as you had a military conflict. These are documented facts, okay? So now you have a huge war in Israel. Like, of all the wars, I would say an Israel war would be top of the food chain.
Yep.
And Israel is up $20 on the open and maybe $30 by the end of the day or whatever it was. Like, that's a joke. That's a complete joke, okay? And what have we said on all of our podcasts? They are never, ever going to let gold and silver go. Gold's never allowed to go over $2,000 or $2,100. Not allowed. Silver is not allowed to go over $25, $26, $27. Forget about it. Not allowed. Okay. And so what have we been watching? Every time silver shoots up to the 25 mark, slam. It goes up to 25.50 or 26, slam. They keep hammering it down. What do? They create contracts out of thin air. And they basically, these banks sell the contracts back and forth to one another. So the price of precious metals, I want to make this so clear. It's not anything but a manipulated price. Precious metals have not had true price discovery. What true price discovery means on a free market, on an open market. So between normal buyers and sellers, there has been no free market and true price discovery in precious metals in generations. Okay. And so as much as Andrew's mentioning the central bank digital currency, okay, understand that, if the central bank digital currency was live and they're operating, everything was like working right now and they're running it, gold would still be under $2,000. Silver would still be under $25, $27. They are never, no matter what form of transactional instruments they're using, whether it's digital, whether it's paper, it's irrelevant. They'll never let gold go above $2,020 or $2,100 and the silver the same marks that I was talking about, $25 to $27, because then their money becomes worthless. And so we've watched this for how long now of this going down? It's the same thing going. It's the same game. They will never let it go up. And so the only way this is going to change is God's battle. This is when God intervenes. Haggai 2 verse 8, the silver and the gold are mine, saith the Lord. And the world we live in, Babylon, that's not Babylon's money. Babylon's money is smoke and mirrors. It's a fake money system. It's a Babylonian money system of hocus pocus. How much can you make people believe that the truth is the truth, but then in reality, you're just watching a show. Yeah. And so that's what's going on. So all I'm just saying is, I'm telling you, the three of us, we come here regularly to tell you it's about to get crazy. And literally, Pastor Dave and I did a podcast like telling you, don't be surprised if a war breaks out this weekend. And it did. I'm just telling you, we've been proven right over and over and over again. And none of us want the glory on this because it's God's glory. God gets the glory. It's his glory. That's why Dave has that behind him on his shirt. It's because God's going to get the glory on this. This is God's battle. And so Babylon's about to come down. What happened at the Red Sea is going to be worldwide. The Babylonian money system is about to be destroyed. Before it happens, Egypt got plundered by Israel. The greatest wealth transfer in human history is really close.
Beverly Hills Precious Metals Exchange is a client-focused firm devoted to assisting our clients with precious metals. Our clients range from first-time to serious coin collectors and investors seeking to add precious metals to their investment portfolios. We are not interested in volatile investments, leveraged products, and intangible assets. With rising inflation and the devaluing of the dollar hurting middle-class families, investing in gold and silver ensures protection for your hard-earned money. Save the value of your money today by investing in gold and silver at Beverly Hills Precious Metals.
The Babylonian money system is about to be destroyed. Before it happens, Egypt got plundered by Israel. The greatest wealth transfer in human history is really close. God wins. God's in charge of this. But ultimately, the free will factor is, what side of the fence are you sitting on? Who do you believe?
That's right.
So, Pastor Dave, tell us, from a biblical perspective, scripturally, Leviticus, thou shalt consecrate the 50th year and proclaim liberty throughout the land. Tell us your feeling, your heart on that. What is that? Is it incredible that we're literally watching a 50-year war manifest right now?
It is incredible how accurate the Lord is in His Word. I mean, you mentioned 1967, and very few people mention it like you do. 1967 was such a key moment. That was more important than 1948 because they got the city of Jerusalem back.
There was no true price discovery, Andrew. What should, in your heart, what would you feel that gold should do in a single day if there was no price manipulation? Like, don't you feel like you would have woken up this Monday and seen gold up $300 to $500 or at least $300?
Yeah, I think about 15-20% move on the upside is what we would expect to see. It's and I think at some point, if they keep suppressing the gold and silver, I think that the premiums are going to make up for the lack of value that it has on the spot price, like we've seen with the Silver Eagle happen on a regular basis. I think at some point, what it's going to cost you to obtain it physically is going to be made up by the premium and not dictated by the spot price. And that day is going to come soon enough if it cannot have if it cannot realize its true price potential.
Yeah, I would say that's exactly true. And we're seeing that even when the crash happened in the year 2020, we saw the price drop, and yet the price of the precious metals to purchase didn't change because the premiums went up. And so we've seen this happen over and over again. And, that is a huge indicator and also a critically important thing to understand, because the day precious metals go crazy and embark on the greatest bull market in human history. See, bull markets are interesting. Those of us that have seen them before in precious metals. I remember the one in 2011. Andrew, you go to the gold dealer. I would go to before I met you, I would go to a gold dealer over in LA. And it wasn't a matter of picking and choosing what I wanted. I would be able to buy only what was available, and most of what was available is what some people brought in that afternoon, and then they would sell that. But the inventory was so limited, you couldn't go drop thousands of dollars because they didn't have the inventory. You see, in a bull market, when one person shows up with a big wad of cash, they'll buy out the store, and there's no more. That's the problem with precious metals. They've printed so much money, and this is now years later from 2011. This is years later. There's so much money. Before, there was a money, like a little lake of money. Now there's an ocean of money chasing the same amount of precious metals. So when the metals go vertical, it's going to be an absolute challenge to get any quantity of gold or silver. It's going to be so hard because no one's going to want to be selling them because they just realized, remember, the event that we're waiting for is a fall from grace of the U.S. dollar. When the U.S. dollar loses its status as the world reserve currency, gold and silver are going to embark on the greatest bull market in human history. Everyone's going to want want some, get some ounces, and it's going to be so hard to get it. Andrew's going to have difficulty sourcing precious metals because the buyers came in, they bought it all up, and it's going to be hard to source it. That's why the prophetic word of one of the prophets was, those sitting on the fence, you've already chosen. What that means is when God intervenes, it's going to happen so quick. You're either on this side or that side, but it's going to manifest itself and it's game over. And then that takes us into premiums as well, because when this stuff goes down, if silver's trading at $100, I promise you, the minimum to get it in your hand is going to be maybe $150 just to get it in your hand. But it could be closer to what? It could be closer to actually double the price, maybe $200. Talk about premiums, Andrew.
Oh, that's exactly what I was hoping to do here, because to give you people an idea of how premiums are the true result of the demand for gold and silver. Bo talked about the crash of 2020, and I believe that was when it was kicked off, when here in California, when they started the stay-at-home orders during COVID, and everybody got scared. So the stocks crashed, Bitcoin crashed. Bitcoin went from like almost 20,000 a Bitcoin down to like 3,000, and gold went from like 1,840 an ounce to like 1,500. So some of my sharpest clients, the ones with really big money, called me and they said, "Hey, Andrew, I'm ready. I see gold's at like 1,500. I'm ready to get some gold. I want to add a whole lot more." They go, "What does it cost?" I go, "It's going to be about $1,900 an ounce." You go, "Well, wait a minute. It was 1,850 a couple of days ago, and now it's at 1,500. So what am I missing?" Well, what happens is the current price cannot be adjusted until the dealers have bought enough gold at the new lower price to be able to afford it to sell it for their new sell price. So if it drops that steep, then you're not going to be able to capitalize on the steep drop in spot price, because it's offset for the dealers as far as what a premium is. And that premium can be sky high in a really, really drastic situation like what we're seeing in Israel. It hasn't happened yet, but it can happen. It happened during COVID. It happened during the 2008 financial crisis, and it'll happen again here very soon. But people shouldn't try to time their entry into gold and silver the way that you do with a stock. You know, if you're investing, if you're trading stocks like Apple stock, you want to figure out, you want to use some technical information to try to figure out the proper entry and then calculate when you exit that stock. With gold and silver, no, this is people invest in gold and silver not to flip it for a quick dollar. They're investing in it for portfolio insurance. And with that goal in mind, it doesn't matter what your entry is. Just get as much of it as you can while you can, and just stay out of the day-to-day minutia as to what it's valued at. And you'll be glad you have it. In fact, when everything that we say is going to happen does happen, your only regret will be that you'll wish that you had more.
Yeah. I want to say this, and what you're referencing right now, specifically, this is so critical. We just had confirmation, Pastor Dave and Andrew, literally the world confirmation of this is the year of Jubilee. This is the year of Jubilee. We had the 50-year event go down right here, right now. What else happened 50 years ago? Nixon took us off the gold standard and the petrodollar contract. We're at 50 years. This is it, okay? We're about to see the greatest wealth transfer in human history, and Roe v. Wade became law 50 years ago. We just overturned it. So God is with us. Who can be against it? So I'm telling you, this is it. This is it. The year of Jubilee. It's about to go down. Our land will be restored. It's going to be incredibly awesome what's about to go down. And we just had confirmation.
We did have confirmation. I believe, Andrew, when you were on with me last week, I said, well, hypothetically, if something happened in Israel, would that spike? And there's a second wave coming of that, and that is how many more people get involved in this. What other countries get involved in this war, and what that can do to oil prices in the Gulf. So this is just the tip of the iceberg of what's happening.
It is, and Pastor Dave, I thought about you every single day since this happened in Israel, and it's just like I wanted to reach out, but this is such a sensitive issue. It was just something I just decided to just leave alone. But I thought about you so many times because the three of us said that something was coming. You've heard information that something was about to happen, and I'm not happy that this is what it is. It's just we knew it was coming, and these are things that happen in this world, and we want to be prepared as much as we possibly can. It's amazing how many things we talk about on these interviews that actually happen. I would say just about everything.
And don't forget the prophetic word of Kim Clement. They will bring this nation to its knees. Okay, so this is not over yet. It's going to come. No. It's going to come in way. It's supposed to come into the United States. You got to go back and study the Yom Kippur War. It started on the 6th of October. It ended on the 26th. Is history going to repeat itself? I don't know. But the war came to end 20 days later, and then the first peace treaty was signed on May 11th, 11/11. I'm sorry, on November 11th, 11/11. Is history going to repeat itself? I don't know, but it did end. And bringing in a peace treaty. So I'm telling you, as ugly as it is, I hope people are prepared. God wins. God's in charge of this.
That's right. In closing, Andrew, what would you tell the His Glory audience and family to what action items?
Well, definitely reach out to us so we can show you how you can diversify your portfolios with gold and silver. Uncertain times call for uncertain measures and solutions to those uncertain measures. And right now, owning gold and silver will help you with that. So go to bh-pm.com and you'll see the form there. Schedule a free consultation. Doesn't cost you anything. Just have a chat with me or one of our other associates here. Fill out the form. Say that Bo sent you and just fill out the form. First name, last name, email address. We've helped so many people diversify with gold and silver through the retirement accounts, which is a non-taxable event. And if that's something you'd like to learn more about, just say 401k diversification or IRA diversification in the notes section, and we'll get back with you in 24 to 48 hours. But definitely reach out.
You mentioned something the last time you were on about privacy, about the 401k. That got a lot of attention. Can you explain that just real quick again?
So the IRA accounts and the transactions that we do out of the IRA accounts, these aren't reported transactions. Yes, they are part of your retirement account, but we put people into semi-numismatic gold and silver, where if you ever take delivery of this stuff and you need to sell it, it's not going to generate a 1099 the way that it would if you walk into, say, a brick and mortar place and sell, like, say, 10 gold eagles. Nothing wrong with having gold eagles. It's just there are certain type of coins that are semi-collectible that fall out of the reporting requirements, and we can help direct you to which assets those are. So definitely reach out about that.
Excellent. Bo, any closing remarks?
Yeah, I just want to emphasize the importance of everything we've talked about. In all our prior podcasts, we always reference Leviticus. Thou shalt consecrate the 50th year and proclaim liberty throughout the land. We literally had confirmation of it with the war that just broke out. Yes, it's horrible, but again, it's biblical. It's not political. It's so important to understand that fact. And then 2 Chronicles, if my children who are called by my name humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, forgive their sins, and heal their land. Again, confirming Leviticus in the 50th year. God is with us. If God is with us, who can stand against us? Welcome to as year ends, 2023, the greatest year in probably one of the greatest years in human history. This will lead to the greatest financial event in human history as we head into the end of the year. It's going to be biblical.
It is going to be biblical. The Lord told me that this morning on my walk. That He said the remnant is about ready to touch the other side of the Red Sea, the touchdown moment when everything else closes up. Wow. All right. We pray for Israel. We pray for the United States, and get yourself in the Bible and get yourself in the Word of God. It's so important. Do not fear. God has it, and light wins. God bless you, and go in His shalom.